Welcome to World Pediatrics, Healing Beyond Borders, the official podcast of World Pediatrics. I'm Reese Williams, and I'm so excited to invite you into this space where stories of hope, healing, and transformation take center stage. Thank you for tuning in to Healing Beyond Borders, the official podcast of World Pediatrics. I'm Reese Williams. In this episode, we have the absolute honor of speaking with Ashley Pennycooke, who is a beneficiary of the amazing support and services that World Pediatrics has to offer. Hello.
Hi.
This is so exciting.
Thank you for having me.
Last episode, we got to speak with someone on the inside of the organization, and now we get to talk to you who has benefited from their care.
Yes.
So let's do this chronologically. If you can tell me, your childhood, at what age were you diagnosed? Let's start there.
I was diagnosed when I was born. So my birthday is December 16, 1994. And I was diagnosed at birth by my pediatrician and the surgeons. Both of my parents were informed about my birth defect right after birth, actually. It wasn't long, taking a long time in between my birth and them diagnosing me. I just knew from what my mom told me that I was diagnosed at birth, maybe the same day or the next day or maybe 2 days after, right after birth.
And this is a craniofacial situation.
Craniofacial. Craniofrontal nasal dysplasia. And it's a long word. I didn't even know the full name of it until I was about 22. And I also have a unilateral complete cleft lip and palate, which means it's one-sided and goes all the way in. So there's different types of cleft lips and cleft palates. I just happen to have it going all the way into my mouth.
I'm sure you've heard stories. How did your parents handle the situation?
Well, my birth defect is very rare. So in Jamaica, it's not a lot of children that have it. But my parents have both told me that they just tried to do their best in raising me to just be as normal as possible. Because really and truly, it's a rare birth defect, and there's not really a lot that's known about birth defects in general in Jamaica, specifically like mine. Outside of medical doctors that do know about it, they just tried their best to raise me as best as they could, to not let my birth defect or the fact that I have one, was born with one, and not let my surgery scars be the reason why I don't achieve anything.
Incredible. And I know that was probably a time well before internet was ubiquitous and information could zip around the world so quickly. So it must have been incredibly daunting for them.
What my mom told me was that she knew about the cleft lip and palate. She just may have not seen it before. But the craniofacial side of it, she may have heard about it, but she didn't see it. So her seeing me for the first time is when she actually saw it for herself. And how old were you when your family learned about World Pediatrics and when it was even on your radar that help was available? Well, I learned about World Pediatrics when it was World Pediatric Project when I was 16, 17. And my mom and I were exploring other surgical options in Jamaica to continue surgeries that were done well over a decade before that. And I wasn't comfortable with what they wanted to do. And so my mom said, let me speak with someone, Mrs. Ruth Shriver-Peace, who at the time, when I was 2, she was one of the doctors, the head of the craniofacial unit. Well, at the time, when I was 17, she was the head of the craniofacial unit at VCU. When I was 2, she was working at St. Mary's Hospital. So I was about 17 when I learned about World Pediatric Project. I had never heard of them before. So that was brand new to me because an organization that was in Jamaica is the one that sponsored my surgeries when I was a baby. Completely different from WPP.
And that was here in Richmond. It sounds like, so you have a tie to Richmond already.
Yes, that organization at home was run out of somebody's house. So WPP was very much different. Very much different. I was told by my mom that it was run by somebody by the name of Mrs. Ann Smith. I don't remember the name of the organization right now, but it was run out of her house. And it was through my doctors and her that I was able to come to Richmond at the age of 2 to get my surgeries.
Wow.
For the very first time. And then well over a decade later, I came back to Richmond under WPP's sponsorship to get more surgeries after that.
That's a lot of your life in that situation.
Yes.
Do you have an inner strength and you're optimistic? Are there days when it even gets to you? What is your family support system like?
It used to, because I was bullied in school. In Jamaica, we call it prep school. Americans call it elementary. I was bullied in prep school. I was bullied in high school. Finger pointing, staring, laughing, snickering, sneering, you name it, I got it. The only thing I didn't get was the physical. It was more emotional and verbal. Calling me ugly, things like that. Comparing, I could go on, but it was just mostly verbally bullying and, the pointing and the staring. In terms of the strength, it came from my parents telling me to just do what I was supposed to do, which is tell teachers, and then they will get it to stop. And if it didn't stop, then my mom would be the one to come to school and talk to them and tell them, leave her alone, or I'm going to have to call your parents. But the strength came from both of them, because my father always told me, strive and thrive. He always told me that, strive and thrive. And mommy didn't treat me like I had a disability. Because just because you have a birth defect, it doesn't mean that you're disabled. It just means that you look different. And in Jamaica, people that look different is very far and in between. It's not a lot of people that look different in Jamaica in relation to birth defects. So if you're not informed about it, if you don't learn about it, then you're not going to understand what a birth defect is, so you won't know how to treat people. The children, when they point, laugh, stare and everything, the parents would understand it and say to them, why are you troubling her if she's not troubling you?
I know it's a shame that we a lot of times face things we're not familiar with fear or something negative instead of curiosity or just wanting to learn more. It's so unfortunate, but it sounds like your family had a motto. It sounds like you had this strength to endure so many surgeries.
Yes.
So
I sometimes have to remind myself of the amount that I've had. And when I do tell people, they're like, really? Because I even have to count it off in my head, the amount of surgeries that I've had over the course of my life that stopped or finished, I should say, when I was 20. All of the surgeries finished when I was 20. And I went over 10 years without surgeries. So a lot of them, or the rest of them, took place when I was a teenager, between the ages of 17 and 20. And then before that, they were from, I was a newborn up until I was 2. And then I went 4 years and I had a surgery when I was 6, because there are different things tied into my birth defect. And basically with my birth defect, things that were supposed to fuse didn't, and what was not supposed to fuse did. So different aspects of the birth defect came into play, and I had surgeries at different times and at different ages.
And that's not what you want to be doing as a teenager, for sure.
No, but with my parents and, God rest their souls, my grandparents and my late father, I just tried my best to take it in stride. And at school with the bullying, I just kept my head down and did my work. That's all I did. And then when I went home, music was my safe space.
What a beautiful hobby. That's healing in itself.
Yes.
When World Pediatrics entered the picture and you had some surgeries with them, how different was the support? I imagine World Pediatrics, was a lot more supportive than what you had experienced before.
Yes. It was a lot more supportive. I don't know how big it was the first time when I was 2, but when I was 17, it was a whole lot more supportive. So different workers at WPP at the time were right there ready to help. And volunteers would come in and take me and my mom places, either like after the surgery when I was able to move around a little bit more. Volunteers came in, would check on me, just said, let's take you somewhere around Richmond to see this museum and that museum. Every year it was a different adventure. Outside of surgeries, it was an adventure every year.
Isn't it humbling that there are angels like that who give their time and attention? You must be overwhelmed.
I am, really, because opportunities like this don't happen to a lot of people. And for people in Jamaica, specifically parents that have children that have birth defects or any other kind of health issue, they might not have the connections or know where to look to get the help that their children need. Because at home in Jamaica, what we don't have is one place specifically, like Richmond and VCU, where all the doctors come in and you can see them all in one day. I saw them all in one day, and being in Richmond after so long and seeing all these brand new doctors, even though I was used to Ruth, Mrs. Travelpiece, I saw a doctor who saw me when I was 2, Dr. Warnham, an ophthalmologist. He remembered me. I didn't remember him, obviously. But seeing all these doctors and then realizing that it's a multidisciplinary team that came together to help me. It's not just plastic surgery. It's not just ophthalmology. It's not just ENT. It's a whole group of doctors that I saw in one day. And they all came together and said, all right, we're going to be working on her head. Here's a neurosurgeon that's going to be taking, looking at this aspect of it. We have the plastic surgeon. She's going to be focusing on this. We have the ophthalmologist. Here's his input. We have this doctor. Here's his input. We have that doctor. Here's her input. It was far quicker. Obviously, because I was at school at the time. I was in high school, and they had a short period of time to work with because I had to be back at school after the surgery was finished and I recovered and everything. So in the span of 3 months, when I came to Richmond when I was 17, they said, all right, you're going to see these doctors on this day. And they said, all right, Monday morning, you're going to come in for surgery. We're going to get this done. And my mom went, oh, it's that quick? Wow. And I said, let's do it. I'm here for this. Let's do it.
It's an incredible testament to World Pediatrics as well. It sounds like you had a really good grasp on what was happening too. It sounds to me, I'm making an assumption, that they made sure you understood what was happening, because it sounds like you have great clarity.
Yes.
For the plan.
Yes. A lot of World Pediatrics saying, okay, we're going to meet with this doctor and they're going to talk you through this, a step-by-step process, and then meeting each doctor and finding out what role they play in my surgeries. It may not have happened that year, but what role they're going to play in the surgeries that were to come was what made it more special, because seeing them that year, they already knew once they looked at scans and had me right there in the office. They knew what they were working with. And so even if I was not here and I was back home in Jamaica, they would be talking with each other and saying, all right, we're going to do this part of it this year. And then when she comes back next year, we're going to do this part. And then when she comes back next year and we finish these parts of it, she's going to come back the following year and we're going to do this part and this part. And then the next year, because she's going to be turning 21 and WPP's age limit is 21. So my last year of surgeries was when I was 20, just before I turned 21. And they said, all right, these are the surgeries. And Dr. Rhodes and the other doctors said, if you need any more surgeries, we'll keep talking. And at that point, I said, you know what? No more. All the surgeries that I could have gotten, I got them.
That is incredible. And that full disclosure is such a great sign of respect. You know, often in healthcare, because they are the educated ones, we're looking to them for answers. A lot of times they can be dismissive
Yes.
or think that it's beyond our comprehension. So I absolutely love that they respected you and your family enough to share everything with you
Yes.
and keep you
It
informed.
made me learn so much more about medicine because as a child, I wanted to be a pediatrician because I love babies. But then realizing all the studying that goes into becoming a pediatrician, I said, you know what? I'm going to do music. I'm going to study music. But not realizing at the time that music, I mean, I knew it, but I didn't know it, that music could be therapeutic or that I could become a music therapist. So I'm always interested in certain things. So learning about my birth defect to be able to inform other people is what interests me when it comes to me specifically. So learning what my birth defect was called to be able to explain to people what my birth defect is, what it means, what it entails, the surgeries that come with it, and then learning, because now the cleft lip and the cleft palate affected my teeth. So this is also going to step into dentistry and wearing braces and getting jaw surgery and a whole other scheme of understanding what it means to be sponsored by an organization like WPP, because at home, these surgeries would not be financially possible at home. Flat out would not be. It would be far too expensive, and I don't think I would get the same kind of care and attention and detailed attention that was paid to me, and them saying, all right, we're going to take all these impressions, we're going to take all these scans, we're going to talk it through with you and say, all right, this is what we're going to do. This is the area of your head and your face that we're going to be working on. And what this is going to do is it's going to come to this. And then me understanding what that means helped greatly. Not just from the doctors, but also helped from the side of WPP sponsoring all of that every single step of the way.
That knowledge is such power to boost your confidence.
Yes.
That's incredible, to take that power back against anybody who might
Yes.
have any comments about it.
Yes. And since my surgery is finished and I started talking more about my journey through my surgeries and explaining that because of my birth defect, I got bullied, just a very small amount of people that didn't understand before understood after that. And they reached out and said, I'm sorry if I made you feel this way. I didn't intend to make you feel this way. And I said to the person, you are following peer pressure because it's the popular crew at school. Always the popular crew. So, and you want to fit in. I tried that. Failed miserably. And I just said, you know what? Keep to yourself.
It's better to be your own person.
Better to be your own person. Keep to yourself. Keep in your little corner. Keep your head down. Do your work. It will pay off at some point.
It does. Have there been other poignant moments in your life when you have realized how transformative this care was for you?
Yes. During music school. Because while in music school and studying classical music, I had to dive into the character traits that I was born with and realizing that both of my eyes don't look in the same direction. So basically I'm cross-eyed. That's the lame way of saying it. I'm cross-eyed. Because to say to somebody I have strabismus, they're not going to understand the word. So I would say I'm cross-eyed. So one eye looks to the corner, the other one is looking straight ahead of me. So I read music with one eye. I can see out of both of them, but they're not looking in the same direction. So I'm reading my scores with my head tilted slightly to the side. And it had lecturers that didn't think that I should have been in the piano department really say, no, she shouldn't be here. But I had lecturers in my corner saying, she may not be able to do this. but she can do this. Give her a chance. And I used the inspiration from being bullied and being misunderstood in music school to write 2 songs. It was for an assignment, but I wrote 2 songs from that experience and put some music to it. And then I said, I'm going to share this on Facebook to inspire somebody. And everybody that heard or read the post on Facebook, they all loved it. They all loved it. The 2 songs, I Am Me and I Am Ashley, describes me as a person.
Learning to read music is so difficult. It's another language.
Yes.
Do you often find, as these naysayers were, do you find people confuse your intellectual capabilities with your disability?
Yes. In a way, yes, but they think they more look at it like she's not learning the music fast enough. And really and truly, I wasn't, because it takes me a longer time to learn something and then stick to it. And it does take practice.
I think that's anybody, honey.
It takes practice, and I had to tell myself every day, you need to get this. You need to prove them wrong and show them why you deserve to be in the piano department. Because going through music school, just learning to play music pieces, learning to play piano pieces, learning about the composers, yes, but there's something behind it. While in music school that I was learning about myself that I didn't realize until I was in my senior year of college. And I told myself, and this is during the COVID time, that I was determined to learn to play a piece and play it without the score in front of me, which is easy for some people, but it's not easy for others. I told myself, I'm going to play this without the score in front of me. I'm going to play it without looking at the score. And I worked at it every single day.
Where does that determination come from?
Inside. Just knowing that I've always had a never give up attitude. And I didn't realize that I had a never give up attitude. But I've always had an attitude of never give up and keep on trying. And it will pay off in the long run.
And when you see so many people around you who may not have the same struggles give up so easily, you're like, look what I've gone through.
Exactly.
Rise to the challenge.
Yes. When I have my mom's friends that they say to me, they don't say it outright, but in the way that they're proud of me, they're basically saying to me, you don't realize how inspiring you are. You don't realize that. And personally, I don't. I'm just trying to do my best every day, because I live by the motto, you can do anything you set your mind to as long as you believe in yourself. And I've always had a hard time believing in myself because of the self-doubters and not feeling like I would be able to get to this point. So always trying and not hitting the mark, but then saying, all right, going to come back again and keep on moving. And it paid off, because at the college, they have a spirit award, the Dean's Spirit Award, and they have the honor roll. Now, I never aspired to be on the honor roll. To be really honest, I just said, you know what, just keep trying. Keep doing your best. And sometimes my best was not good enough, but clearly it was good enough that year, because I got the Spirit Award of my graduating class in 2020, and I was not expecting to get anything.
That light inside of you and your passion for what you're doing is so clear. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it radiates. It's just incredible. We could all deal with a dose of that. Absolutely.
I keep trying every day. I just keep trying.
What would you and your family say to other families who might find themselves in the same situation? How how can they navigate such a difficult journey?
I would say to them, pray and just know that it does get better. If you have a child that has a birth defect, maybe not like mine, or they have some sort of health condition that is visual to people, and it leaves a scar that the child does not have any control over, because those scars are there for a reason. They're helping the child in one way or another. I would say to the family, never give up. Always just be on the lookout for an opportunity, because somebody is watching. And there are people out there that are willing to help you. You just need to look. And believe that there are people out there that will help. And there are, because they helped me for 4 straight years. Every year when I went back for surgeries, I had family friends saying, again? Yes, again. Because this is helping me in more ways than one. I've had 3 scars on my head and face for as long as I've been alive. This one I've had since I was a newborn, and this one. So I don't know my life, I don't know my childhood without the scar across my head, the scar down the bridge of my nose, and the scar on my lip. I don't know a life without it. And if I could picture myself without it, I have an idea of what I would look like, but at the same time, I wouldn't know what I look like. Because what I see in the mirror every day is my normal. Every day. It's my normal. It's what I've lived with. And I can't change that. You pointing your finger and laughing and staring and snickering and sneering, I can't change the surgery scars.
But the moment you start speaking, it's clear that I think you come across beautiful, fierce, determined, creative, passionate. Anybody can have any preconceived notions they want to, but all you have to do is start speaking, and it's clear. It's very clear.
It just takes one person to listen, because children now still laugh, still point, still stare, but it doesn't affect me the way it used to. Because when I was in prep school and they would do it, I'd run away crying into the house. And my mom would be shouting at them, "Go to school! You're stopping in front of my house and staring at her. What is it? What's the problem?" And they'd always answer, "Nothing, miss." And then they would just point. And just say, "Is there something wrong with her?" "No, miss." "Okay, if there's nothing wrong with her, keep on walking."
Well, when we're younger, we want to fit in.
Yes.
But you have clearly realized and demonstrated that if you are authentically yourself, that's what changes the world. That's what makes the world a better place.
So much better.
What is next for you? And let me ask too, before we get to the wrap up question, what message do you want people to get from the 2 songs that you wrote?
What I want them to get from my 2 songs is that I'm a lot stronger than I look. My surgery scars are just a part of me. I didn't ask for them. God made me in a particular way. I never asked questions. I just learned to live with it. And just be accepting. If you don't understand what you're looking at and you're trying to figure it out, ask a question. Just ask, why? Why do you look like that? What happened to you? And I'll answer. Plain and simple. I'll just give you an answer.
Making yourself so vulnerable and open. That's incredible.
It's hard to do because of the bullying, and it's made me closed off to certain things and introverted, because I'm naturally a quiet person. I don't like to be out there. So trying to step out of my comfort zone is a lot more challenging. But in recent months, I've been stepping a little bit more out of my comfort zone and doing things that I would never dare do had I been a 16, 17-year-old teenager. But I've slowly found the confidence to do it now.
I know we have to take the journey that we take, but if you had some words of wisdom for your teenage self, what would you tell her?
Keep smiling. Your smile is beautiful. You may not think it is. It's a work in progress, but you're a beautiful person. And a lot of people are inspired by you. A lot more than you think.
We are. You are studying music. You're writing music. What do you hope that turns into? Where do you see yourself in the next 10 years?
I finished my music degree. It was music education. So not only was I studying music, I was also studying to become a music teacher. So that degree has taken me to teaching students with intellectual disabilities and special needs at home in Jamaica. This is my second year teaching. And it's also pushed me to pursue a master's degree in inclusive and special education.
What do your students call you?
Miss Pennycooke.
Miss Pennycooke?
Or some of them, when they can't say my full name, they say Miss Penny, or they just say Miss. A lot of the teachers in a more social setting will call me by my first name. A lot of people call me Songbird, because anybody that knows me knows I'm singing all the time. And I call myself Songbird Keezy because I play the piano and I'm a singer as well.
You are incredible.
Thank you.
This is such an honor. I said in the beginning it was an honor to meet you. It's also a delight.
Thank you.
You are an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you again for tuning in and allowing us to share our amazing stories with you. I'm Reese Williams, and we will see you next time on Healing Beyond Borders, the official podcast of World Pediatrics.